Sorry about that, you guys. Anyways, let's go right back into this video. Excuse me. Look, you blood-sucking fuck, Heath began to say, but Aphrodite's strangely echoing voice drowned him out. Come up here, human. Like our eyes were magnets to her attraction, Heath, Eric, and I, and for that matter, the rest of the Dark Daughters and Sons, stared up at her. Her body looked wrong. Was it pulsing? How could it? She flipped back her hair and ran one hand down her body, cupping her breast and then moving down to rub between her legs. Her other hand lifted, and she curled her finger, beckoning Heath. Come on, come to me, human. Let me taste you. This was bad. This was wrong. Something terrible was going to happen to Heath if he went up there and stepped within that circle. Totally entranced by her, Heath lurched forward without any hesitation or common sense. I grabbed one of his arms and was pleased to see Eric grab his other. Stop it, Heath. I want you to go. Now. You don't belong here. With an effort, Heath pulled his eyes from Aphrodite. He jerked his arm from Eric's grip and practically growled at him. Then he turned on me. You're cheating on me. Can you not listen? It's impossible for me to cheat on you when we're not together. Now get out of. If he refuses our summons, then we shall go to him. My head jerked up to see Aphrodite's body convulse as gray wisps seeped out of her. She let out a gasp that was a cross between a sob and a scream. The spirits, including the ones that had obviously been possessing her, rushed to the edge of the circle, pressing against it in an effort to break free to get to Heath. Stop them, Aphrodite. If you don't, they'll kill him, Damien shouted as he stepped out from behind an oriental hedge that framed the pond. Damien, what? I began. He shook his head. No time to explain, he told me quickly before turning his attention back to Aphrodite. You know what they are, he called up to her. You have to contain them in the circle or he'll die. Aphrodite was so pale she looked like a ghost herself. She moved away from the smoky shapes that were still trying to push against the invisible boundary of the circle until she pressed against one edge of the table. I won't stop them. If they want him, they can have him. Better him than me. Or any of the rest of us, Aphrodite said. Yeah, we don't want any part of this kind of shit, said Terrible before dropping her candle, which sputtered and went out. Without another word, she ran out of the circle and down the gazebo stairs. The other three girls were supposed to be personifying the elements followed her lead, disappearing quickly into the night and leaving their candles overturned and unlit. Horrified, I watched one of the gray shapes begin to melt through the circle. The smoke that was his pectoral body began seeping down the stairs, reminding me of a snake as it slithered in our direction. I felt the Dark Daughters and Sons stir, and they glanced around me. They were nervously backing away, looks of fear twisting their faces. It's up to you, Zoe. Stevie Ray? She was standing unsteadily in the middle of the circle. She'd thrown off the cape that had covered her, and I could see the white linen bandages on her wrists. I told you we needed to stick together, she smiled weakly at me. Better hurry, Shawnee said. Those ghosts are scaring the shit right out of your ex, Aaron said. I looked over my shoulder to see the twins standing beside the white-faced, open-mouthed Heath, and I felt a jolt of pure happiness. They hadn't abandoned me. I wasn't alone. Let's get this done, I said. Keep him here, I told Eric, who was staring at me with obvious shock. Without needing to look back to be sure my friends were following me, I hurried up the steep stairs to the ghost-filled gazebo. When I reached the boundary of the circle, I hesitated for a second. The spirits were slowly dissolving through it, their attention completely focused on Heath. I took a deep breath and stepped inside the invisible barrier, feeling an awful chill as dead brushed restlessly against my skin. You have no right to be here. This is my circle, Aphrodite said, pulling herself together enough to wrinkle her lip at me and block my way to the table and the spirit candle, which was the only one still lit. Was your circle. Now you need to shut up and move, I told her. Aphrodite narrowed her eyes at me. Aw, crap, I really didn't have time for this. Bobblehead, you need to do what Zoe says. I have been dying to kick the shit out of you for 2 years, Shawnee said, moving up to stand beside me. Me too, you nasty hag, Aaron said, stepping up to my other side. Before the twins could pounce on her, Heath's scream shattered the night. I whirled around. Mist was crawling up Heath's legs, leaving long, thin tears in his jeans that instantly began to weep blood. Panicked, he was kicking and shrieking. Eric hadn't run away, but was hitting at the mist too, even though whenever some of it stuck on him, it ripped his clothes and tore open his skin. Fast, take your places, I yelled, before the seductive smell of their blood could mess with my concentration. My friends ran to the deserted candles hastily. They picked them up and waited in their proper positions. I moved around Aphrodite, who was staring at Heath and Eric, and her hand pressed against her mouth as if to hold back her screams. I grabbed the purple candle and rushed over to Damien. Wind, I summon you to this circle, I yelled, touching the purple candle to the yellow one. I wanted to cry with relief when the familiar whirlwind suddenly sprang up, swirling around my body and lifting my hair crazily. Shielding the purple candle with my hand, I ran to Shawnee. Fire, I summon you to this circle. Heat flared with the whirling air as I lit the red candle. I didn't pause but kept moving clockwise around the circle. Water, I summon you to this circle. The sea was there, salty and sweet at the same time. Earth, I summon you to this circle. I touched the flame to Stevie Ray's candle, trying to not flinch at the bandage that covered her wrist. She was abnormally pale, but she grinned when the air filled with the scent of freshly cut hay. Heath screamed again, and I rushed back to the center of the circle and lifted the purple candle. Spirit, I summon you to this circle. Energy sizzled into me. I glanced around the boundary of my circle, and sure enough, I could see the ribbon of power marking its circumference. I closed my eyes an instant. Oh, thank you, Nyx. Then I put the candle down on the table and grabbed the goblet of bloody wine. I turned to face Heath and Eric and the ghostly board. Here's your sacrifice, I yelled, sloshing the liquid into the goblet and a messy arc around me, so when it made a blood-colored circle on the gazebo floor, you weren't called here to kill. You were called here because it's Sahamin, and we wanted to honor you. I spilled more wine, trying to ignore the seductive scent of fresh blood mixed with wine. The ghosts paused in their attacks. I focused on them, not wanting to distract myself with the terror in Heath's eyes and the pain in Eric's. I'm going to leave it off right here. I will see you guys in the next part. Bye.